there, and welcome to Lesson 3 of Simple Start Homeschooling. Today, Laura and I will be discussing the question, how do we find our family education rhythm?
Something that draws me to homeschooling is that it gives me the chance to choose the way I teach my kids and to organize the overall flow of my day to best fit my family. That's great as a general theory, but when the rubber meets the road, homeschooling families tend to fall into one of 7 different education styles. So we're going to break down each of these styles for you, but we recognize that that's a lot of information. So make sure you stop by the resources for this lesson, where we'll have some written descriptions of each of the styles to help you understand it a little bit better.
The first style is traditional school at home. This would be comparable to the educational style found in a traditional public or private school system, in which you'll find that you just follow a complete grade-by-grade, course-by-course curriculum. Lessons are mapped out with daily assignments, reading, and tests. You may even opt to set up your own classroom space to feel like a typical school classroom with desks where your kids will do school. This homeschooling option is heavily teacher-driven, where you, as the teacher, prepare lesson plans for each subject and each student.
For many people, this feels like a comfortable homeschool education style because it's familiar and logical based on their traditional public or private school experiences. This option might be a great fit for your family if you feel like your children thrive on structured days, organization, and maybe even enjoy some experiences in a traditional public or private school setting. This is also a great fit if you're planning to only do this temporarily, if homeschooling is a short-term thing for you.
The next style is unschooling, usually described as child-led learning. It emphasizes following a child's interests and involves experience and hands-on based learning. This is a philosophy that encourages avoiding too much structure to allow learning to occur naturally. For some families, this means letting your child choose their focus and what they want to learn. For others, parents will guide their child's education by making field trips, I like that, activities, and having lots of books available, but allowing the child to ultimately choose where their interest lies.
In my head, unschooling is kind of the opposite of traditional school at home. Where traditional schooling is very hands-on, unschooling is on the other side of the spectrum as a hands-off method of teaching, where parents offer guidance and support as needed. It's very free-flowing, non-curriculum-centric way of teaching kids based on their interests. It allows a child to learn from their passions and curiosity. This type of homeschooling still values traditional school subjects and follows the overall rules and requirements, but thinks that there are many other things for a child to learn as well, that life is not just about school.
The third style is unit studies. This is a style of homeschooling where for a period of time, your child or your children will learn about subjects as they relate to a specific theme, like a historical event or a geographical region. Students learn by actually experiencing or discovering a subject through different methods and activities, not just through reading a book.
One practical example of a unit study process would be that you would choose a topic, then choose a primary nonfiction book to base your learning around, and then look for any other supporting books on the subject, add activities, and field trips that all relate to that subject. To get a little bit more specific, we could talk about the example of plants. You could spend a month discussing plants in a variety of different ways. The anatomy of a plant and plant cells would be science. Farming and crops in your community or state could be agriculture. How plants have been used as medicine could be history lessons. Plants in relation to art. You could talk about artists or do your own art activities. What plants are local to your region for geography. You might take a trip to an arboretum, go on nature hikes, press and identify plants. Anything around the subject of plants.
One reason that some families like this form of teaching is because they find it easier to apply when you have students of a wide range of ages and grades. Your family as a whole can focus on one topic at a time, with age-appropriate depth and materials, as well as activities and field trips that you can take together, which is really fun.
Yeah.
The fourth style is the Montessori style. This is often defined as a teaching method that focuses on creating an environment where a child can grow and develop as a whole person. It emphasizes a physical, hands-on approach to learning via movement, play, and touch. It gives children the opportunity to choose their schedules, their books, etc.
If you are textbook averse, this might be the style for you. As a mom to young kids, I think the term Montessori gets thrown around a lot, usually in regard to simplifying your space, giving kids the opportunity to make their own choices and be responsible for things, like preparing their own snacks, watering plants, picking out their clothes and dressing themselves, things like that. These ideas also apply to the approach to education, minimalism, hands-on learning, learning through experiencing the world around you rather than focusing on tests and structure. As a side note, this style of teaching is often intended for younger children, so you may have to pivot if or when you are homeschooling a child in middle school or older, although it is possible to have a Montessori influence on the way you approach junior high and high school education. This generally looks like a combination of rigorous academics with purposeful work, preparing teenagers to be self-confident and develop skills paired with maintaining a love for learning, as well as school and life balance.
The fifth style that we'll talk about here is called Charlotte Mason. This education style emphasizes that children learn best from real-life situations, that they should be given opportunities to play, create, and be involved in life experiences from which they can learn. It emphasizes short, yet focused lessons across many subjects throughout the year.
This approach focuses heavily on the use of rich literature and living books, which are books that bring a topic to life, rather than traditional textbooks. The style does not often involve traditional testing, but instead showing knowledge through discussion. For example, rather than having your child complete a worksheet after they complete a lesson, you'd ask them to retell you everything that they can remember from their reading or lesson. The Charlotte Mason style is easily confused with the Montessori style since both focus on the use of rich stories and living books, experiencing education through real-life experiences and nature. But some of the main differences are that Montessori emphasizes child-led learning, where Charlotte Mason says it's the teacher's responsibility to define what is learned and how long each lesson is. Speaking of the length of the lessons, Montessori lessons are longer, allowing children to explore whatever they're studying in great depth for as long as they want, while Mason's lessons are designed to be short and impactful.
Right. And now the next one is called the classical form of education. And this is the sixth style. It's a method that originated with the ancient Greeks, consisting of 3 stages of learning called the trivium: grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Some describe this way of teaching as teaching children how to think rather than what to think.
Phase 1, the grammar stage, teaches elementary school students knowledge. It involves learning facts, memorization, and knowledge gathering. Phase 2 is the logic stage, which teaches middle school students understanding, a phase where reasoning and logic begin to be applied to the knowledge. And then phase 3 is the rhetoric stage, which teaches high school students the skills of wisdom and judgment. This is a teacher-driven homeschool style and places a strong emphasis on reading and classical literature and can be pretty seat work intensive. This is an excellent approach for children who love academics, as it emphasizes math, science, and music, as well as classical literature and an intense study of history. But this might not be a good fit for your family if your children learn better by doing or moving. The last style we want to talk about is eclectic homeschooling, which is really the category for parents who want to mix and match their style from various resources and curriculum. This gives the opportunity to create a highly specific and planned learning environment that's customized for the student and for your family.
And this is where we landed: eclectic homeschooling. From traditional homeschooling, I split up the curriculum for each of our kids in a binder so they knew what was required of them each week of the whole school year in order to complete their required textbooks, tests, and lessons. I wanted to make sure they covered all their work. And then another thing that we did was we would make travel plans and we'd utilize unit studies, which focused on our destination or the areas we'd be traveling through. We used aspects of unschooling to help our kids grow in areas like reading by leaning into their present interests. From the Charlotte Mason and Montessori styles, we did our best to give our children opportunities to learn through hands-on experiences. And then we also gave our children the opportunity to know what was expected of them, not dictated exactly when they had to work on it, each subject, and for how long. They had some freedom. If they were enjoying science that week, they might spend the whole day learning about science, and that was just fine. This worked extremely well for our 4 kids. We wanted our kids to excel, to learn until they understood, to believe in themselves, to have dreams and discover their place in this world that they've been created for. Eclectic homeschooling was fabulous for us. It was a very successful form of education in our home.
Though right now choosing a homeschool style might feel like a big decision, I prefer to think of it as an opportunity to dream as big as you can for your family. You're walking into an amazing new freedom of growth, learning, and memory making. So check out the resources available with this lesson to learn more about each of the styles and how they might fit into your family's goals.
We look forward to talking with you next time, where we will answer the question, how do I actually teach my kids?
See you in the next lesson.